We're here to bless other people. However, we are not here to make strong recommendation, financial, concrete, or anything. We're only here to open people's eyes to see what opportunities are out there, see what alternative decisions people, if you make alternative decision, have alternative options and you follow it, what you can possibly get. So thank you so much for having me, and I want to say congratulations to the graduates. It's exciting times, but one thing that I will start with is, by the grace of God, whatever phase or stage you are in right now, is think about it as a seed planting phase of your life. You're about to graduate. You are given opportunity to either go get a bigger boy job. That's not where you're supposed to be for the rest of your life. That's not where you're supposed to be until you retire. You have to take that seed, plant that seed. You have to cultivate that seed. You have to nourish it, pour water, do all of those things so that you can harvest what you need in the next phase or stage of your life. My personal principles of money, or you know steps of money, or idea or principle of money, is you learn how to make money as a human. You learn how to manage money. That's the next step. And the next step is learn how to multiply money before you start enjoying whatever you get. So every paycheck you get as a new graduate, as a matter of fact, if you're not a new graduate and you're just tuning in, think about it. I will make money. They will pay me money. How do I manage that money? What does it need to go? Pay my tithes, pay my utility bills, or any bill that I have before you start, splurging. Then the next thing is, how do I multiply? Multiplication also goes back to investment. What goes into retirement? Then the last step is, how do I spend it? Unfortunately, most of us, including me, we always think about the first and the last in most cases. How prepared you are will determine how long you would last in some of these cycles that you mentioned. So if you lost it, you have money in your savings, you have money in some investments, or by the way, buy a house without having mortgage. That's another thing we can talk about, but we'll park that alone for sometimes in the future. But let's say you have a rental on a paid off home and they're paying you monthly, and you have another place that you're staying. That's income right there that's covering you when life happens. It's not a time to go buy a Mercedes. I bought a BMW. I drove it for less than 6 months. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. This is not for me. Why? Because I'm not a type that I want to drive that kind of thing. I deserve it. I want to drive them, but I'm not the type. I'm driving. I just like, oh, I need to roll my windows down. It's starting to get into my head. That's not me. So if you figure out who you are, and think about the principle steps to principles of money that I just mentioned, marry all of those things into your lifestyle, right? Make all of this money. You can buy you can buy a BMW, you can buy a Mercedes. I'm a big fan of BMW. I love Beamers. But one, I can't buy them on car notes because that's me eating out of my future retirement. Not to knock anybody with car notes, yo. I had car notes and I did all of the calculations in my spreadsheet. I paid $10 driving that car out of the lot when I bought it on day one. By the time I finished paying it, I had 6 years to pay, but I paid it in less than 2 years, 18 months approximately. I had paid extra $4,000 on that thing. So all of these little things, they add up pretty fast. Nobody's knocking you if you already have it. Think about the alternative options. You know, if you haven't made a lot of money, you have to think about going, but you are not making money. So we need to fix that. How to fix that? If you need to upskill, if you need to learn a new skill to get more money, do it. Because you have to constantly think about investing. I didn't invest in 2020. I didn't invest in 2021, 22. I can feel it. You have to understand compound interest. What you put in today and is growing, it puts you in a better position than putting a bigger chunk or the same amount or maybe times two of that amount 4 or 5 years from now. We need to utilize our time well. We have to maximize the time. Get an extra job. If you have a house right now and you're a single person, get into house hacking. If you have extra room, get people in their room. Extra $300, $400. some inconvenience, it will save the day. When I was doing Airbnb, I did Airbnb for a while, but I had two bedroom. I listed those two bedroom. Whenever one is not occupied, I'm staying in that room. Whenever both rooms are occupied, the dining area was blocked out. That's my private space. And I would go to the gym and then shower. I'm good. For 1 year, I did not have a job, by the way. I didn't have a job. It was Airbnb that kept me going. And I was sending money back home and trying to be a responsible man. So everyone's got reasons. Everybody's got an excuse why something will not work. And I understand that. But when you think about the concept of time and season, we got to do something. Going to black tax, I encourage it. I think people should do it because, as a person of faith, I am blessed to be a blessing. I'm a channel of blessing. Think about a stream. The stream consistently flow, fresh new water, and that's God's intention for us. However, it has to be done with wisdom. Generosity without wisdom is stupidity. Don't take your bill money. You have water bill to pay, and that's your last money. And somebody called you from back home and they say, you know what? I need this. I need this. Can you help me out with this? And you send that to them. That's not good. That's not wise. God doesn't do that. Think about the principle of the money that I just mentioned. When you make that money, think about the essential things, things that you have to do. Then the rest, you can do black tax. However, don't just live like that too. Your black tax has to be in a budget. I'm struggling with a tiny amount that somebody wanted me to help in supporting the program this month, and but I kept looking at my budget in the last 3 days. The day one of December, I already ran out of budget for what I'm giving my charity. Black tax again is you're in the diaspora. God brought you here. The community, maybe community bought plane ticket for you, flight or whatever. Or they did not. Because you are in overseas and they have a way to contact you, there's some level of expectations that hey, you got to take care of us, and it's okay. I personally think it's okay, but we just have to do it with limitation. Before I decided I want to get married, I started acting and living like, okay, this is what's gonna get, this is what's coming towards me. I'm not a parent yet, but if you come to my house right now, space for the kid. I have kid stuff, and this is something that I learned from somebody. I think it was probably during COVID or post COVID. You can never stop preparing for your next phase. And I understand some people be like, oh, what if it doesn't happen? But guess what? Christmas is always in December. You got to prepare for Christmas before it shows up. If you want to give gifts, if you're not, that's okay. But on Christmas Day, if you already have those gifts and you don't get to give it to the people you want to give it to, guess what? You're going to give it to somebody. So preparation is extremely important. At what point do you start preparing for your next phase? Is right now. They said the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So be debt free, and also whatever principle you build or whatever habits that you form now is what you will carry into it. If you already solidify some habits, it just become easier. If you're a responsible person before marriage and you get married, it's even easier, right? If you're an investor before you get married, my goodness, it's even easier. If the person is coming as with an investment set, even better. But if not, you can easily say, hey, you know what I did in 2020, 2025, this is where I'm at. We're married in 26. This is where I would like to go. You're showing them results. So be overly prepared for your next phase. I would define wealth as being able to afford what you want with peace of mind. You're not running from one place to the other just because you want to, make certain, purchase. So peace is in that definition. So as you're building wealth, think about it. A lot of people are not at peace right now because they're still trying to take care of some things, the seed that they planted 10, 5, 15 years ago. So as you're building wealth, think about what can I do that will give me peace of mind in the future? What vehicle can I use to get to the future in terms of wealth. What are the avenues to get, to be wealthy? Of course, you have your regular IRAs and all of those things. You have real estate. You can even go beyond having one or two portfolio. You can partner with people that you vetted, and they are, they have good character. Those are the ways you can build peaceful wealth. A lot of people are building wealth now, but the outcome will not be peaceful. It's not a cause. It's just the fact that the seeds that they are sowing now, it's not good. It's not on a solid ground. I don't want to give examples. Some of the things that you should look out for is when you constantly take more than you can handle, when you are greedy, when you're chasing quote and unquote, I want to put $5 down and take a loan of, you know, 90 million, and you don't have a job. You're building a you're building a house of cards. So this is why we recommend be consistently improving your method and get out of debt. The Bible says in Proverbs, somewhere in Proverbs, I don't know the exact scriptures, and it says, "The borrower is a slave to the lender." When you read books like uh, "The Richest Man in Babylon," there are several books that you can read. There's nothing wrong in you doing business, borrowing money or borrowing resources to do business, but with wisdom, so that you can harvest peace among your physical harvest in the future. As I wrap up, I know we're coming up with time. Think about wealth as whatever I will need to do now to be able to afford the life that I'm designing by the grace of God, to be able to afford that peacefully, to be able to, live a life of abundance, which is you have enough and you can give, and you can do all of that peacefully.